Alright, well, welcome to another episode of Boyz Podcast. With Don Pistolitas José right here.
Your boy David.
Yo, this is Hector. Your boy Good. Keep it easy.
And we got a guest, a very special guest today. Jose, aka Lil Flaco. There's a reason why they call him Lil Flaco.
That's PHLAKO, guys.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to spell it. Welcome, Flaco, to the show, bro. We've been asking you to come on. You finally came out, brother. Appreciate you coming on.
He's done some of our edits and like Photoshop on the Instagram.
Tell about the YouTube video.
Oh, he did a phenomenal YouTube video where I'm dancing to and showing my boots. Boots.
Oh, he's the one that did that? He's the one that put it together, bro.
I
watched that thing like 10 times in a row, like right after another, cracked up each time. It's fucking hilarious.
His boots with the fur.
I got him on today because it's snowing outside, so you guys better believe it.
By the way, at Most Boyz Podcast on YouTube, go check it out.
Please subscribe. We're going to start loading up our videos. We actually started recording. There were some technical difficulties because I personally couldn't figure out the audio.
You lost the memory card for like a week.
So I am a little bit, I would say, technology disabled.
A little bit?
I like how your cancel culture is starting to use like certain words.
Yeah, well, I mean,
challenged. Technically challenged.
I am technically challenged. To be fair. I mean, not so much.
If it has more than an on and off button, this guy's gonna fuck it up.
I don't know about that, but I remember when I used to have like my Nintendo 64 and just connecting the cords in the back. And
oh yeah, you thought you were in IT right there.
Everything was easy back then. You just had to blow on the fucking cassette or disconnect the control and plug it back in.
Technically, any person that's in IT, what's the first thing they tell you?
Turn it back
off and turn it on and reboot it, hard reset.
Technically,
right?
yeah. I mean,
so technically, you got some IT.
But I should put it on my resume, right? I have some experience.
Yes.
I have IT experience. No, but Flaco's, he's been awesome. He's been helping us out, and we're hoping.
He's got to follow up.
He did the Bernie Sanders one.
Oh, he did do the Bernie Sanders. I forgot about that one. I didn't know that was.
He also did the Pistolitas.
Yeah, he's
yeah.
Jose, did we even post that one up?
Hey, find him on Fiverr.
It's on Insta.
Find him on Fiverr.
On what? On Fiverr.
It's over.
And Tinder.
And Tinder. Yeah, Tinder. What's your handle on Tinder? Is it just Flaco?
That's how you spell
with
the
the
PH.
Yeah, exactly.
That's.
Hey, Flaco, are you ready for that awesome story you have or not yet?
Nah, not yet. This is the first time right here, so we Is this the Tennessee story?
Yeah, the Nashville the breaking backs.
We got Bueno back again, bro. We're hearing the other Bueno story that's gonna come up. No.
Yeah, he has a story that
we're gonna remind you. You already forgot it.
Another story?
Yeah.
I don't recall.
I recall.
We were at one of our guys' house. We were playing some poker, and then something happened where you lost.
Oh.
The funniest fucking way.
Again?
Yeah.
Is that again?
Oh,
come on, boy.
It was sad. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Jose to be fair.
He called it, bro.
You did call it out.
He called it completely.
I don't know. Well, I mean, were you mad?
Nah, I think I was a little bit more surprised that you called it out in the head.
Yeah. You thought I was a little bit. No, I did, and I lost. I mean, obviously, I'm here, right?
You get once.
But that's something that's funny. I want to bring something up real quick. It could just be kind of like quick answer. You guys don't have to get into detail, but recently I've been seeing like freaking people getting more and more angry and concerned about stuff. So I guess this is a double whammy, right? One, do you guys believe that conflicts nowadays can and maybe potentially, some of them at least, right, should be resolved by violence? When I mean violence, I mean like fighting, fist fight, like knock it out. I mean, there's some people that go and shit and
just put in Biden and Trump in a ring.
I strongly believe in
all these influencers have been doing it, so they're like, fuck it.
Like old school celebrity deathmatch?
Exactly, yeah. Whoever wins gets to be president.
And then with Bernie waiting in the chair.
He comes in with us.
Yeah, how about we let our boy right here, Flaco, answer? This is our guest today.
Wait, was that the question?
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, I mean, there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of how do you want to call it, like stigma towards like fighting and stuff. Like even like school kids, like there's suspensions and stuff like that. I feel like when you're a kid, you have that testosterone build up, and you're like, a quick little fight, what's going to happen? But
So would you say that it's violence or some kind of action that needs to be done nowadays to get your voice heard? Is that what are you specifically saying like something of violence, or are you saying some kind of act?
I said conflicts. Should and can some conflicts
Resolved with what? Exactly.
fighting?
Fighting?
Like, yeah, like not guns. There's enough of that shit. I meant like fist fighting. I mean, there's enough of fucking gun violence.
You gotta put a scenario to it, but I guess
but let's say, for example, you and I get into a fender bender, and one of us is being very uncooperative, right? And you're like, hey, should you be able to? Or if you, for example, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I can't really think of anything specific in terms of a scenario right now, but there's instances where it's like, you know what? The hell's your problem? Let's just kind of duke it out and let's see what happens.
I think if it ended there with whoever got their ass beat was okay with it, okay, I got my ass beat, that's it, it'd be kind of fine in certain situations.
I get what you're saying.
But I don't think it's ever that way where it's, fuck, I got my ass beat, okay, I get it, you know, like, hey, he's about to go back and, you know, it's all about, they say, escalation. So
right, but at that point, it would end.
I mean, in an ideal world,
if I would have got my ass beat, like, I wouldn't let it go.
You wouldn't?
No, if I were to see the prison again, I wouldn't let it go.
Well, you would box again.
I box
And
again.
then you would get your ass whooped again.
But by yourself, or you bring your boys?
Well, one of the,
Those boys are going to be right there.
well, one of the issues with that, I feel like you never know what that other person, like he said, with the whole fender bender, like you don't know what that other person might have, so you can't really try to fight him. Like he might exactly.
Well, then that brings up one other good point.
Well, I know it's gonna go have his own little montage and then like come back. I'm back, guys. Round 2.
Well, then that brings up another point, like guns, and I mean there's a huge like back and forth on like should guns be allowed, should they not be allowed, conceal and carry. I personally, I'm a firm believer in if I'm having an argument or disagreement with you, I'm gonna tell you. And if it escalates to fighting, like fist fights, if you beat me, I'm good. That's it. You know what? You beat me fair and square. It's over with. If I whoop you, hey, I'm gonna be like, hey, dude, it's over. It's done with. But there's a lot of people who are not that type of mindset, and they're like, hey, I'm gonna go fucking get my gun and shoot you.
You want to go like back to old school times where it's...
I think you should, man.
But I mean, a responsible gun owner wouldn't just go grab his gun and shoot you.
But
shut up, Hector. There's not that many
that's bullshit,
responsible
man.
No, I'm just saying. But that's the same thing. You're bringing up. You're bringing up like hypotheticals.
I personally think that people who have guns, in my opinion, it's fine, right? Because they think like, oh, it's personal safety and like personal protection. But if to an extent, I think they're cowards because they have to hide behind a gun to go fight.
Well,
but I mean, that's not. I mean, that's another thing you're bringing up to the conversation.
Yeah.
It's different. What if I'm carrying a gun to protect myself from, I don't know, from getting robbed or something?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we make way with the guns.
You're bringing it up. That's what I'm telling you.
But that's what I'm saying. But if I mean, it switched over a little bit, right? The first question was, if there's violence, so on and so on, should be resolved with boxing. You guys brought up the point that
I think it's too dicey to just say flat out, like, violence would accept because, again, you're getting into this next step of escalation. And I think you can't just say, again, somebody loses, like, that's it, settled right from there. It would never happen.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
So,
but all right, do you get rid of guns?
No, I strongly am a believer of our Second Amendment that we all have the right to bear arms. But it's been kind of pushed or extended a little too far to say, like, you want to make it seem like we're still back in where we have to have, like, 10 different guns. We have to have, like, 5 handguns, 3 rifles, and then a shotgun, and a lot of people bring it up nowadays because they say back in the day, you actually had bears coming up to your fucking house, like if you were in out in the country, you got other people that would, like you said, back in the day, they'd come and try to violently take you from your home or take your land, and if you don't have protection, you can't have that. I'm down for self-protection, but I do think it gets a little extreme when you got, one person with, 5 ARs. Like, I think that's a little extreme.
So, why can't I have?
No, you can. Nobody's saying
you can't. Yeah, nobody's saying we can't. It's why.
Well, what's the
Why?
purpose?
Just for fun.
That girl was nice too.
It's just like you having hobbies or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's understandable. I
It's
understand
the same thing of having a gun. Once you have a gun, I mean, I'm talking about personal. Like it's just a hobby of having another gun. but probably not the same caliber, like a different caliber and all.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And to be honest, this is just to have fun. There's nothing. I don't see it nothing bad because I don't be showing off my guns. I don't be
Right.
promoting and all that stuff, and I just
And-
consider it as a hobby. But like I said, personally, like if I'm a responsible owner, I'll just use the gun to protect myself and my family.
And that's
But
why
if we was come to like a fist fight or something, then that unless he brings out a gun, then we're talking a different story.
and I understand that you're saying that, but here's where, in my opinion, it blurs, because you have people who say, oh, it's my Second Amendment right to have it, in the event that there's a tyrannic government, right? Or the government becomes tyrannical, where they become so power hungry that our freedoms are stripped, right? To that, I argue, you have an army that can literally send a drone and fucking missile strike you and into your house. Like, what the fuck is an AR gonna do? I get that you're saying, like, oh, I can still have it, you know what I mean? And by all means, I'm not saying that you get rid of it, but, for example, hackers are responsible gunner. At least I like to think so, right? But you have a lot of people that are not necessarily that responsible, and they show it off, and because they're, in my opinion, they're cowards. Because they're like, they'll go out and they're scared of confronting someone without a gun because they know they're going to get their ass whooped and they don't know how to fight. In my opinion, a lot of gun owners were bullied when they were kids. And now they have guns, and now they have, yeah, they have guns, and they're like, this is what makes me, and this is what makes me tough. You know what I mean? Not necessarily, that does not go across all the board, I don't think so, but, go ahead, Chief.
Now that you guys are mentioning the Second Amendment, I kind of wanted to pose a general question for you guys. Based off of that, do you guys feel like having the Second Amendment is good? I know you guys stated that already, but do you guys think they should limit what type of guns? You know, with the whole RPGs and then
Yeah,
all
you
these
can't
other.
have those.
No, well, not those, but you know, with
So
the
this is-
semi-automatic guns.
You
And
can't
then
have
the reason, I mean, you can, but how are these people having them? How
But
are these schools
so-
being shot up? How
but
are, you know?
They're not. I mean, if you go and look at the news, and they're not semi-automatic guns, or they are semi-automatic guns. They're not full automatic guns. It's stuff that you could go buy if you have your FOI card and all that stuff. So you're just bringing in other types of guns that on other places you can have. I mean, there's like here in Chicago, a lot of the guns that come out that are unregistered is because they go to Indiana, and their laws are more lenient. Yeah. So you can go over there and you can go to like a flea market of guns and you can just buy a gun.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not supposed to do that. It's technically, that's not,
No,
they're
but
not okay with that.
that-
It's just, they allow the practice to happen.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't see it type thing, so that's why people go do it.
Then that's why Chicago has a high
Yeah.
death rate for gun shooting.
So to me, it's the problem is, again, if you continue to allow I'm all for gun control. I feel everybody should have the right, and me, myself, I have my Ford card. I haven't gotten a gun yet, just because it hasn't come up as
Let's
a
go.
action. Yeah, no, I'm done. But I still think there needs to be some kind of limitation that when you have people like your casual citizen having similar weapons to what some military, some of our military has, I think it gets a little scary because like the situations have come up where somebody on the street is just trying to rob me and somebody's busting out with like something more. It just causes more chaos. How many stories do you hear of stray bullets? And it's more casual. You hear that more common. It happens a lot more common than people realize. Like stray bullets hitting people just because you got into it with the right, again, how we brought up about violence and then it escalates. So to me, my concern is that the more firepower you have, the escalation just get that much higher.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I
So
mean
that's my concern.
Right now, you can see. I think the government had some sort of idea what was going to happen with the election and all that stuff. Because you can't find ammo anywhere.
Yeah, right.
And there was a reason. I think there was a big reason for that. Because before all this happened, you could have found like 1,000 round bullets for like $100. Right now, for 100 bullets, it's like over $100, and you can't even find them.
Yeah, and even the ranges that we go to to try and normally buy ammo, they're actually not selling it to you. You can buy it and then use it there,
Yeah.
but you can't take anything extra that you normally would under other circumstances back home.
So let me ask you this: here in Taylor, you're like the one that's more pro-gun. Do you think that gun laws should be more like Chicago stricter or more like Indiana?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I think like Indiana, to be honest. Because
Why?
why?
Is
Because
it really-
if you're okay, so in Indiana, if you go and you have your FOI card, and you can pass the background check, you'll get that gun that same day. If you can't pass the background check, you can't. Here in Illinois, you have to wait 3 days for a handgun.
You know what?
And so if you like were to do something supposedly in 3 days,
cool down period.
Yeah.
Cool down period. If you got like fire from your boss and you want to like go retaliate,
yeah.
they give you 3. That's the way they're using it.
So in fire, I think in like 22s and rifles, I think it's only like 24 hours. But that's me personally. But I mean, I don't mind. Like I bought guns here, and so obviously I bought guns in Illinois, and I gotta wait like 3 days, and that's fine with me. You know, it is what it is. So.
Well, to continue off of that, Hector, do you feel like is there really a need for these like bigger guns?
Like I said, it's just like hobbies, man. I mean, it's whatever you're into. I mean, I don't know about like high caliber guns, but even so, like people will pay just to go. Even if you don't have, people will go pay like you go to Vegas or to go shoot a high caliber gun. It's just something if you're into it. You don't have to own it because it's fucking expensive as hell.
Here's go ahead.
So I know in other states you could you're allowed to conceal and carry. So you think Illinois should.
You can conceal carry here.
Yeah.
Handgun.
Yeah.
So here's my thing with that. I think, I mean, I know I came out across and saying like I wasn't pro gun. I personally think that you should be free to do whatever you want as long as you're not infringing on people's happiness and putting people's lives at risk, right? But I think they should have higher and stricter policies in terms of who can have a gun and who cannot have a gun. They should do mental assessments because I think there are a lot of people who are not very mentally capable to have that responsibility, because it's a responsibility at the end of the day.
It's like getting a fucking driver's license. You get a lot of people that like go through the very basic of just driving. You can go up and go this. Which way do you have to put your tires, and they just get it. But I think to your point, that's they do need to get a little bit more.
Not even a little bit. I think a significantly more strict in regards to like checking mental health. I think there's a lot of people who are not physically, mentally stable, and should not be owning them.
So what would you do for that to happen? Then? What would you put in place to find somebody who's mentally ill? Because I know that they're out there, and they could be like as normal as
no, I mean,
somebody.
if they go to an actual evaluation, a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist, whoever they're going to get into, and actually evaluate them, they can kind of determine kind of
money talks.
And will you make the people who want to pay for that?
So you guys require an extensive procedure.
Not necessarily an extensive procedure. I think
That sounds extensive. To go through the health and like.
I missed a week and I can't speak.
Nah, here's personally what I would do. If it's too difficult to do what you're saying or what you guys are proposing, to have every single person go to a psychologist and kind of address them, because there's obviously the room for human error, right? What I would personally do is get a group of highly educated and like.
Make it a class. How about that?
No.
Make it a class, like even for a break or for like hangers, because they do have.
I wouldn't even
carry. You have to take a course.
And you have to pass it with like 80%.
Yeah.
Can I finish my thought?
Okay. Apparently, what you were saying is different than whatever.
Yes, it is different. It's not a class. I would collectively get a group of like highly educated psychologists who were masters in their field of analyzing like narcissists or whatever other different types of personalities would not be beneficial or would have that negative impact if they were to have guns, and create a test and questions that would identify how their capacity is. And I mean, you're gonna miss one here and there. Nothing's perfect. 100%.
It's the same thing. I mean, right now the background check that you do right now.
It's not. Background checks are bullshit.
But they ask you the same
No, they
question.
don't.
No, but they're just asking you
Have you bought a gun? Have you seen?
Background checks are trash and they're shit.
Have you seen the?
You know how many Hector Chacones are in the world?
Have you seen? I
No.
don't like talking
Oh my
shit,
God,
but have
there's
you
more?
seen the fucking test?
Yeah.
So okay, so if you bring out another test and a couple of guys take it or whatever, you have to fill this out, and they know the answers. It's always gonna be the same thing. So if I tell you the answer, then you're always gonna go and get it. Oh, I just mark these off, and then I'm gonna be able to get it.
No, but I think what Jose's
You
saying
change
is
it up.
just, like,
So you're gonna be changing it up every time.
Yes. And now you create a whole other business. It's like the
I
fucking
mean,
ACTs
you
and it.
could, you could make it, it's like, 100 questions, but only 50 are going to be on the actual test. So and then
You recycle them a little bit, and you don't know what we're looking for.
Yeah.
You can answer different questions differently. What we're looking for is the particular person to answer those certain questions. I could give you maybe 105 or 90 questions that are normal questions, and the other 10 are telling me how to identify you, that maybe you might be a narcissist, or maybe you have that risk of going off the wire.
You put psychological questions on there that'll determine the personality. like a personality test in a way
Right.
involved. So I get what you're saying, but I still think
Yeah, that
a
should
course.
never
I still think a course similar to what they have about the concealed carry.
Hey, that's not gonna happen.
It's just
It's not.
educating people.
Be realistic. It's not.
To me, it's just educating people and putting scenarios. Basically, like when we've all gone to driving school. Now, maybe I was the only one that's gone a bunch of times to the traffic school. Where how they show you a scenario of what happened of a girl that got hit by a drunk driver. You can kind of put those same thing into that course of people that could you get all these scenarios where you get kids unfortunately get a load of their guns of their parents
Yeah.
or somebody in the family and they end up shooting. There was recently a story of this kid. He was like in his school doing his Zoom or remote learning. There you go. And he had gotten a gun from his uncle or a family member, and he shot himself accidentally. He didn't have a camera or anything like that, but that's how people found out about it. So that's my gripe is where a lot of people,
But
somewhat to his point, that people that shouldn't have own a gun or being and having a gun, because then it gets into the wrong hands.
This is exactly what happens. Those pro gun
pro
guys, they
guys,
start
yeah.
getting mad.
Yeah,
Like,
took
that's
our-
not gonna
they
happen.
took our
They
guns.
took our guns.
Then you're bringing up. All right. So if I'm a responsible owner, if I'll take care of my guns. I'll keep them in a safe place. So that guy that
But to
he
me, the
didn't have.
less guns you have, the more your more responsibilities on a lesser guns. And I got 10 guns. You're gonna lose track once you start having 10 guns. You might start losing track how many guns you have.
Hector made a pretty good point earlier because, like he mentioned, when you take the test, he said you only have to get 80% of the questions correct in order to go ahead and pass that test. So based off of what you guys were saying, that to only put a certain amount of questions in there that would psychologically,
I mean,
you know,
he said
no, I know, but you kind of agreed to it.
But
So-
here's the thing.
No, but Jose, before you go on,
Yeah, shut the
I do.
fuck up.
I did have two questions. So what stops those that get rejected from going and getting those guns illegally?
Yeah.
That's one. And then the second one is, wouldn't you guys prefer to have those on record in case something does happen? You do have them on record to find who did it and what.
Why? Here's the answer to your second question. Why would I give a gun to someone who I don't think is physically, mentally fit
No,
to begin with? And now you have them on record because they took that test, right? So, to me, it seems like it'd be a lot easier to keep track of those people. Nothing stops them from going out and getting.
Let me jump in right here where you were about to say that. So the point of all these laws that get put into place is you're not going to stop people from abiding by the law. There's always going to be people that are going to break the law. But the point is, because they're there, if they break the law and they get caught, they can actually get punished for it. So that's the whole point of laws. It's to prevent. Everybody knows that somebody's going to break any law that's ever in place is going to be broken by somebody. But if they get caught, they can actually get a repercussion because of it. So that's the whole point of more laws and more stricter laws on any kind of.
There's a whole bunch of laws, but they're all laws.
Right.
The gun stuff gets pretty,
And the gun stuff. What do you think about ghost guns then?
I'm sorry, what are those?
Ghost guns.
when they take off the serial numbers?
No.
Or what do you think?
Ghost guns is I could go right now online and buy a 80% gun. They'll ship it to
yeah.
your house, and then you finish it off. They give you a jig and
Actually, very
everything.
cool.
To go off of Hector's, you can
Actually,
even
very
make
cool.
them with those
That's a ghost
new
gun.
machines.
The 3D printer?
Oh,
With
3D
the 3D
printer.
printers, yeah.
But here's my point with that. Like, the solutions that in this particular case I'm proposing are not going to entirely
Yeah.
stop. I'm not saying you get rid of guns. I'm saying you try to weed out the people who are not mentally stable to have guns. Like, maybe it's not fair. Maybe they're not mentally. Maybe they are mentally stable. They just didn't answer the exam correctly, or they didn't, or
I
they
would
just
even
answered
say,
even
and
differently.
this is just me, I'm sorry to
But let them have another
Because
test.
you're saying about that, I would even say if there's some affiliations or games and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I
100%.
think it needs to be some, maybe reasoning, or it can get brought up during your evaluation, because I think that's that's the thing that
What's
comes up.
what's the problem with? What would be the problem for you if you were had to take the test?
No, I mean for me, there's no
Exactly.
problem.
Or
It's
limiting.
just it'll be like time. But I mean like what I'll bring into the table, like what I think to fix it, just give it a more of a wait time.
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if they have the gun, they're gonna get the
Yeah,
gun.
but you're gonna get the gun wherever. It doesn't even matter.
Right, but
But if you have like a wait time, like right now in Illinois, do you see the guns that they use, or when it's shooting, or the guns that are recovered, they're mostly unregistered firearms from other places.
Personally,
So it's not from people that have the guns that go registered.
right, I understand that, but I personally make it a nationwide thing. I'd make it a federal law.
Oh, well,
I wouldn't
yeah.
make it not just a state law. This would be applied across the board. Everybody, you know what? This is going into place, and just everybody's gonna get this. There shouldn't be an issue because I'm not restricting you from getting a gun. I'm telling you, hey, you just have to fill out an exam now. Similar to what David said, you're taking a driving test, you're taking classes and stuff. It doesn't matter, and I think people should be coached and taught how to use a gun, how to clean a gun, how to do all that stuff.
Yeah,
Take a class,
that's
just like I.
Exactly.
No, not fucking class.
I thought you meant like a class, like saying like, oh, try to teach them how, or try to weed out the narcissist or the people who are not fit mentally in the class. Yeah, and people should take courses, but and I think that's going to deter people to get like personally. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going to spend 16 hours trying to get my concealed carry. But if I really wanted to, I'll spend the fucking 16 hours.
Just like you're mentioning that, Jose. So there's always a way to play the system, right?
That's what
There's gonna find
I
people
know
that
some-
aren't mentally stable are gonna find a way to play the system, and even if they play the system, someone can be totally calm, be smart and everything, but there's people out there that have short fuses. It could be Jose. He's a smart person. He's well educated, and let's say
You
his
never know.
boss does fire him for whatever reason, and he does own a gun. He could be like, fuck it.
I get what you're saying, Julia, but this is not.
But I think people
can I
that-
finish that?
Okay, go ahead.
The end goal on this, it's not to say like we're gonna stop all shootings. I mean, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is try to stop the people that are not mentally fit to get their hands on guns. Hector mentioned you can get them from other places. Obviously, the realization, the understanding that this is not gonna stop like gun violence entirely. It's not gonna happen. At the end of the day, it's not that easy. You know what I mean? You either take them away or you don't. Like even London, England, they have no guns, right?
Yeah.
Even their cops don't have guns.
And there's a high demand in 3D printed firearms over there. Really
Right.
high demand.
Right, but whatever you want to call it or however you want to approach it, there's statistics show that their crime rate is down. Crime rates are being solved a lot easier, right? It just goes back to my original question. In my opinion, if I have an issue with you, I don't have an access to a gun, you don't have an access to a gun, all right, let's box it out. You know what I mean? It's not going to go to the point where I have a gun or can obtain a gun and try to shoot you.
Why can't you talk it out?
You could, and I agree. I think you should talk it out, but sometimes you.
So you're saying
sometimes.
don't pistolitas, but I want pistolitas.
No,
There's
no.
a reason why they call them that.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they call me that. It's not necessarily because of the guns. I mean, I know it's a heavy issue, heavy topic. And I'm glad that Hector, you have like the opposite mindset on it. And again, please don't think that I
Hector
don't
has
care.
more guns than Legos, bro.
But please don't think that
For
I
him,
don't.
it's his Lego project.
Like I said, this is not.
Hector has more guns than underwear.
It's not. I mean, I taken out them pistolitas and to the shooting range and just to have fun, and it's a different experience. And I'm pretty sure you had fun when we went.
Right.
Went. And I understand what he's getting at, and I'm totally for it just being safe and having
100%.
a way where everybody can be safe. Realistically, it's gonna be hard.
I want to be going shopping for my guns.
Whenever you want, man, let's go.
I think it is. Yeah.
To be honest, right now we live through right here where we're from. We live through some bad things that happened where people were shooting. You hear gunshots at night, and it was scary, man. To be honest, it was scary, and just to have a firearm in your house, es como dicen, es mejor tenerla y no usarla que no tenerla y ocuparla, you know. So, even if you never have to, you never have to. I don't know about you.
So is it true if you don't use it, you lose it?
I don't know. Moving on.
Blanco, you want to check me?
No, well, I thought, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, personally, I've shotguns, I like them, I think they're fun, but I think that people need to be safe and people need to learn how to properly.
Especially once you get into the pirates here.
Yeah.
Like here in the city, I mean, it's, like I said, it's a personal preference. You wouldn't need a really high caliber gun. Why the hell do you need? Even here in Chicago, you can't have a high caliber gun. You know, I understand it, but I think in that case, I think they should have more places where you could just go rent them there. Because there's not a lot of places where you can rent a high caliber gun and just like,
There's a reason
I
for
think
that.
no, to rent, you gotta rent it and shoot it there.
I know, that's why. So
Yeah, but
But